Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing our player spotlight on Mr. Leonard Floyd. Yes, going to get into it. Should be interesting. But, basically player spotlight, just looking at a player on the team, looking at what they've done for us, prior, what we're looking for going forward, labeling them, as a core player, a young piece to build around, just a starter or a backup. And yeah, it's just having a regular old conversation during the off season. So, Leonard Floyd, let's get the stats out of the way. That's what I usually do. So Leonard Floyd, has played 2 seasons for the Bears. Last year was a sophomore year. And in those 2 seasons, he has played 22 games for us, started all 22. Last year, he only played 10 games. In his rookie year, he only played 12 games. So, he has missed some time with injury. Of course, as we all know, he, hurt his, messed his knee up last year. That shut him down for the rest of the season. Prior to that injury, he, had 4.5 sacks. And then in his rookie year, he had 7 sacks. So the sack total went down. And as a pass rusher, that was the guy that we kind of were hoping that he would continue to climb up because, 7 sacks is not bad in a year. Not bad for a rookie, and definitely not bad for 12 games. So we thought, if we can get a full 16 games and he can do, more than that, then we're really going to be on track. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play all those games, so we don't know. But at the pace he was at, wasn't exactly looking like that he was going to give us higher numbers. So who knows though? That's the mystery of it all. But the real question is, what do we expect from him as a pass rusher going forward? And I would say that before we go forward, just to kind of look at what he's done, he does, I would say he does have, a fair amount of duty in the pass game. He's not just a glorified stand-up defensive end. He actually does get involved in the pass game and the run fits and all those different things. So he's not just, a straight pass rusher. He's not a situational pass rusher. He's a linebacker. And so that's one thing that's always going to kind of change the way things happen, because a lot of people were kind of talking about, oh man, he can play, strictly pass rusher in Georgia. He dropped a little really he was, his last year in Georgia, he was a stack linebacker. So people were like, man, I don't know how he's going to translate. And the thing is, everyone talks about how much pass rush is a big thing because it's a passing league. Well, if it's a passing league, having a linebacker that could cover in space is also a big thing. And so if you come out in a 3-4 or whatever you come out in, you're going to have people on the field that can cover at points in time. It ain't going to be Pernell McPhee opposite him, or, I'm talking about last year. So of course, in those situations, you're going to see, Leonard Floyd take on more coverage responsibility than the guy opposite him. Now, does that hold you back from getting sacks? Of course not. Just saying, throwing it out there, he's much more than a pass rusher. Okay, so that's on the table. Now you talk about when he was rushing the passer, how was it? And he has a good get off. Leonard Floyd had one of the best get offs I've seen in college. And he still shows a pretty good first step. However, the issue comes with his array of pass rush moves. And I wouldn't even say he doesn't have an array of pass rush moves, but further than that, he doesn't have one go-to move. And that's really where it happens, where people are looking for guys that can do a bunch of different things. And eventually, yes, that's what you want them to do. But coming in early on, you want to be able to have 1 or 2 moves that you can dominate with. And then once they pick up on it, then you got to counter. But he's never even got to that point where he has the one move he could dominate. Now with his frame and with his first step explosion, I would say that the rip and lean is a classic one that he should be able to get, because even if his hips aren't the best, he still has that slender frame that could turn the corner. And so really with that though, it takes some getting used to your body just letting go and running that arc and letting the lineman pretty much carry you to the quarterback. A lot of guys that aren't good pass rushers or that are young pass rushers, they're so worried about getting contact. They want to get their hands on the offensive lineman in order to set them up and make a move or, counter off that. And so when you talk about the rip and lean, they really aren't comfortable just riding the arc to the quarterback, because instead of doing that, they want to get into kind of not a fist fight per se, but they want to get into a hand fight with the lineman. That way they can control and play off of him. And those type of power moves work, but as an elite pass rusher and as a guy for his size, the rip and lean you would expect by now to at least be his best thing. Now, we've seen moments when he got off the ball so great, it just naturally happened and he was able to meet the quarterback or, blow up a play. And he's got to trust that he can do that each time. And once you establish the threat of, I can get up the field and run the arc on you, then you start getting linemen that are hurrying up in their pass set, trying to catch up to you, opening it up inside lanes. Or you get guys that are starting to panic and they don't know which way they want to pursue. And that's when you can start mixing up. So you gotta, like I said, whether it's the rip and lean, taller guys, long arm stab is what you see. When you see guys kind of rush and they use one arm and like jack a lineman backwards and then make a move off that's the long arm stab. So guys, long arms typically are good at that. So what is that? What if it's a spin move, a swim move? I don't care. You have to establish your number one move and really get that, down pat before you can start adding all these things in. So from what I've seen with Leonard Floyd, he's just really at that point where I think, either he's trying to master too many things at once and he's not good at any of them, or he's at a point where he's still just trying to use his pure athleticism to beat people. But again, when you're not a straight pass rusher, you're not let loose on every play, then it's kind of hard to get that attacking mentality. When you ask to drop back to, go green dog coverage and cover a flaring running back, when you ask to drop into the zone or whatever, then sometimes some guys aren't good at that, switching modes. And so even though he has a great first step and he does have that athleticism, maybe he's not timing it up well, when he switches from run to pass. So who knows? I don't, I'm not working with him at practice, so I don't know his, mental, state as far as that. I'm just going off what I see and, what the possible outcomes could be. But to me, I would say after 2 years, I've seen incremental increases in his, ability. And I don't know that coming out of college, and I definitely don't know now that I ever saw an elite pass rusher. Maybe a guy that could be like a Nick Perry that could be pretty decent, get you hover around 10 sacks a year. That's perfectly fine, but I never thought I saw a guy that would juice it up towards 20 sacks. And so, I'm not super surprised by what he's given us so far. The injury thing with his, frame, a lot of people were kind of expecting that as well. I would say going forward though, that is a guy you lean on just because pass rush is so bad for us. And while we have solid corners, we don't have lockdown guys. And so you have to have one. Basically, you have to have one. You have to have lockdown guys that can give the pass rush time, or you got to have pass rushers that can speed up the clock of the quarterback and help the secondary. And right now we don't have either. And we haven't had pass rush in a long time. And so that kind of pressure is on him, but also the fact that the roster just doesn't have any complementary pieces as far as someone that could take that load. So everyone's looking at Leonard Floyd to provide that pass rush. Now, on top of that, he's coming off of an injury, a significant knee injury. And so while we see people bounce back these days, everybody's different. And so I feel like he's going to have a tremendous amount of pressure on him, to be honest with you, from fans, coaches, everybody. And I think people are setting themselves up for disappointment. Again, I think if everything fell in place where he's taken a step forward, where he came back better from his injury and stronger and all that good stuff, and he goes out there with our roster, I still think 11 sacks at best is kind of where you see him at. And, it's just too easy at this point to help, protection towards him because we don't have anybody threatening on the other side. And so we got to just kind of see how that plays out. But, you know, we'll see what Aaron Lynch can do. We'll see if Kylie Fitz gets any go. But right now, if I'm coming into the Bears, Leonard Floyd's the only guy I'm worried about. Now, Akeem Hicks is a monster, of course, so I'm not going to discount him. But a 3-4 rushing from that 4-tech spot is not the same as coming off that edge. And so, and of course, as explosive as Hicks is, he's not a burner or anything. So you need that explosion off the edge. And so that's what everybody's going to be looking at. And I think it's going to be tough for him to put it all together. And so I think people are setting themselves up for failure with the high expectations they have on him. Yes, he was a first round pick. And everyone's like, they traded up for Leonard Floyd. Remember, we traded back first and then we traded up. But anyway, like, yes, he's a first round pick and all that. And it's not like, especially we got Kevin White. I'm sorry. I hate to bring him up, but it's not like that situation where he hasn't produced anything. He showed us he can get to the quarterback. Not a consistent basis, but he can do it. He can go out there and start and play. He started from day one. From all the talks, he's got bigger and bulkier this off season, but still looks quick. I don't know. I haven't seen any of it. So we'll see as we get into deeper in the off season, but I would have to say just going forward, 11 sacks for me, I'm okay with. If he can give me a full season and he can give me 11 sacks, I will be happy with that. I don't know what everybody else is, looking for from Leonard Floyd, but I would say that's where I would be happy with. And then as far as labeling him, I say he's a young piece to build around. I wouldn't say he's a core player. You can't be a core player just because of your draft status. And I think a lot of people want to do that. A core player has to be essential performing, essential in leading, and all those different things. And right now, he hasn't shown those things. So right now, I think he's a young piece that, because of his draft status, yes, he's a guy you're going to build around. And because of our lack of talent on the pass rush game, he's a guy that's going to be the focal point of our pass rush. So there you go with that. I wonder if they're going to use Roquan on the edge at all. He did a little of that in Georgia. He's explosive up the middle, of course, but you could line him up on different blitzes, and he's fast, so he could definitely get home. I wonder how that's going to go. But anyway, I say, yeah, young piece to build around. And I don't think the book is written on Leonard Floyd. A lot of people are saying this is his make it or break it year. I mean, technically, contract-wise, that's not true. So he still got time, but this is the year for him to really capitalize and show people what he can do. But I don't think if he misses time this year or if he goes out and gets less than 10 sacks, I don't think that means he's a bust or that he's not good. So I wouldn't say that at all. I think he still has time. He's young, man. Pass rush is not easy. So maybe I'm, giving more leniency because that's my position, but hey, that's how I feel. So anyway, I want to hear what you feel, what you think. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Is he a core player? Is he a young piece to build around? Do you think he just should be a backup? Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, stay up and bear down.